Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. Today we're looking at the Gears of Dreadland's T16. This is a refresher course for anybody who wants to know how to play this build for keys. It is very fast. We're going to show you how to do it with low Paragon. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with high Paragon, talk about the bounty specs, talk about some GR90 specs that you can do for Season 26. Before we do jump in though, welcome to everybody who is new. As always guys, a thumbs up really does help out the channel. Let me know, are you excited to play Demon Hunter, or are you all just going to flock towards the Inner Monk? Although I have had a few comments, I think a few people are getting a little bored of that, so maybe DH should be a little bit popular. Now obviously out the gate we're going to get the Marauder set, but we're probably going to want to set up a Gears of Dreadlands Demon Hunter, because for keys it's going to be much faster. For bounties, it's going to be much faster than Marauder, and for GR90, it's probably going to be faster as well. There's an argument to build a multi-shot Demon Hunter for the GR90 clears. I'm not entirely sure how much power you would need to do that, but that is an option. That is probably going to be the fastest GR90 build. Why am I obsessing with GR90? Well, after that point, you don't get any more rewards in terms of items, so it's your fastest way to farm primals is 90. And I'm going to hazard a guess that next season, Echoing Nightmares, you're going to want to get the keys to enter that mode as fast as possible, and again I think the drop rate probably will be capped at 90 with the rest of the items. We'll have to test that on the season, just a bit of a guess. It's a little bit of prep work for that. So I guess just a little bit of a crash course on the Gears of Dreadlands. This is the low Paragon specs. This is the kind of earlier on in the season. Now Gears of Dreadlands, basically you just get a bunch of move speed and damage on your 2-piece, you get a bunch of move speed on the 4-piece, and you get a bunch of damage on the 6-piece. The way the set works, really simple. All you have to do is activate your Hungering Arrow stacks, your momentum stacks, sorry, capped up to 20, and you just deal mega damage, and you hold down, right click, and away you go. And it is pretty easy to play. It's one of my favourites because it is quite brainless to play. For modifiers, there are only really 2 or 3 that you need. Siri Satchel, the offhand, is imperative. Hungering Arrow is guaranteed to pierce and gives a huge damage mod up to 600%. You're always going to need this. It can go in the cube. So for example, on the one of the GR90 specs, we've got it on the cube. That is probably the most damaging way to run the build with this in the cube. But early on, you're going to probably have it on the character. Quite a hard item to roll because you're looking for, you know, a decent modifier on it. So obviously if you do get an early one and it does go in the cube, well, so be it. You know, the Dawn is helpful, but it's by no means essential to the build, and getting that max modifier in the cube will help you early on. The next main modifier is the Hunter's Wrath. Primary skills attack faster and deal a bunch more damage. Obviously again, really hard item to roll well, but over the course of the season you should find a good one, but you can cube it to get the maximum modifier. Now later on you're going to transition over to Depth Diggers. This is for GR speeds. For T16 you don't really need the extra modifier. The Siri Satchel, the Hunter's Wrath, and just generally your damage will be able to clear T16. By all means you can run a Rogue, so instead of the Zodiac, Larceny Ring or Stone of Jordan, you can put a Rogue in there, and you can run yourself a pair of Depth Diggers on the character, or you know, yeah, basically on the character. Now this is low Paragon because we don't have the Crimsons, so this is kind of gear that's not too bad to find. A Yang's Recurve is always going to be very handy for a Gears of Dreadlands key and bounty build because it offers this huge resource cost reduction roll on it. Just very handy for spamming abilities that require discipline. So Smokescreen in particular gives us big move speed, Shadow Power gives us big move speed, and it just kind of helps really for that. You don't need to worry about the multi-shot roll on here, obviously no multi-shot whatsoever. For legendary gems, you're going to go for a Taeguk. You're also going to go for a Simplicity Strength. They're the 2 main damage ones. You can go for a Trapped as you're trying to find one of these, or a Zeiss, but they're the 2 really that I think you want to be leveling up. And as always, a Boon of the Hoarder and a Gold Wrap to make yourself immortal. Now, I've left the main stat gems out. I was testing this with no main stat Paragon, and we were flattening T16. We have got the Zodiac in to help with lifting on cooldown. The Larceny Ring is here just purely for speed. Whenever we hit, we've got this chance on the secondary property Really is a nice item for T16, this ring. It'll give you quite a big move speed boost. And then the Stone of Jordan just is a little bit more damage, and it allows you to basically be very flexible with the element on your amulet, on your braces, and on your ring. Amulet-wise, Squirts seems to make sense. You're a range build, so you are dealing a lot of damage without actually taking any damage, so you do get quite good value out your Squirts. You want Hungering Arrow damage on your pants and on your belt if you can get it. Cooldown is handy, double crit is handy, but you really will be flattening content very early. Now, you can, if you're lacking in damage a little bit, you can take Focus and Restraint. So you would proc one part with Hungering Harrow, you'd proc the other part with the Strafe. So again, let's say you're really early in the season, you've got terrible gear, and you find yourself Focus and Restraint. Well, that's going to give you way more damage than simply taking Stone of Jordan. As you're building this, you can also take a Convention of Elements, but bear in mind you're only dealing extra damage on your cold cycle, and I just kind of like the flat consistency of the Stone of Jordan. And Max Discipline on its secondary role, I quite like. Obviously, we've got a low one here with 8 rather than 10, but again, it does kind of help out with the discipline. Zodiac's taking skill cooldowns whenever we hit with Strafe, which is nice. Dawn's doing a big lift on the cooldown for Vengeance, so we're getting extra damage. We've put Dark Heart on. We don't really need it because we've got the gold wrap, but there's no other runes worth taking, so you may as well have this just in case you don't have gold. Might save you from being one shot. Hungering Arrow is how we deal all the damage. Strafe is how we apply the Hungering Arrow. We just need to make sure that we're left clicking once every second or so to keep our stacks up. Prep is here for extra discipline. You just pop this whenever it's off cooldown and it'll kind of slowly top up your blue discipline bar for you. Vengeance is more damage, as we talked about, and then Smokescreen and Shadow Power just here for move speed. Passives wise, Archery, the bow giving an extra 8%. Just seems to be, I think, worth it. I'm not sure if it's better to take Cold a Week. I'm not sure if the cold skill for the Hungering Arrow procs that natively, or if you need the Bane of the Trapped. So I've gone for Archery. If that's wrong, somebody let me know. Ambush, more damage against high health enemies. We're looking to one-shot stuff on T16, so this is perfect. Tactical Advantage is here for move speed. Hot Pursuit is here for move speed. Obviously, you would put main stat gems in your gear, and that is kind of how we'd be running it early. Obviously, once you do get to the point where you can one-shot stuff, you're then looking to add in your move speed items like your Wazekian Arm Guards. Whenever you wreck an object, you move faster, and in your Larceny Ring, by all means, leave this out until you get enough damage. It might even be possible to put Wreath of Lightning in instead of one of these damage gems at some point as well. But the High Paragon version, the one that I really like playing the most because it's just so ultra super mega lazy, is a very similar setup. I don't think we're changing anything in the skills at all. But what we are doing is we're going to take the Crimson set. This is kind of handy. We're going to get rid of the gold wrap because with the Crimsons you get this just gigantic resource cost reduction. So you take a Topaz in the helm, it gives you a lot of toughness. Obviously we're going for the all res gems in the chest and pants, again buffing up our toughness for us. We're going to leave in the Boon of the Hoarder. We're going to get rid of the Stone of Jordan and take the Zodiac for the cooldowns, just that we've got a lot of cooldown. And we're actually going to take the Echoing Fury. The attack speed we don't really care about too much, but we do get a bit more move speed off this, another 25%. So I think it's worth it, but again, you could go back to taking the Dawn and maybe taking one of the gems out and go for a Wreath of Lightning. That would be about the same move speed. But the advantage of this really is you're not relying on the gold wrap for toughness, so it's great for bounties. It's super lazy because the insane levels of resource cost reduction mean that you can just perma spam all of these buttons and you won't ever run out of hatred or discipline. It's really lazy. If you're wanting to watch TV, listen to stuff whilst you're doing bounties, keys, something like that, this is the kind of build I would be using. If you are struggling for toughness, you can sub in a Raps of Clarity that would give you a 50% damage reduction in the bracer slot. But other than that, again, similarly, you can go on Focus and Restraint if you need a bit more damage. You could do Stone of Jordan, Convention of Elements for more damage. Plenty of options here with this. Right, so let's take this one for a spin, which is the bounty one. We're going to do a GR81, which is the equivalent of a 4-player bounty. Now, we do have some decent toughness in here. If you're wanting to really face tank stuff and stand in multiple explosions, what you're probably going to need to do is take out the Take out the Echoing Fury out of the cube and go for Dawn to make sure that you always have your 50% damage reduction from Vengeance. You're also probably going to need to run the Raps of Clarity for the 50% toughness damage reduction on that. It depends how much juice you have, really. But as you can see, damage is no problem at all. This is the 4-player T16 bounty. You'd be absolutely murdering it, and we can pretty much spam all these buttons, like spam, press them all, and we don't really have resource problems. I have to literally mash every button as fast as I can to get the discipline to even go down, and even then you only have to pause from spamming for like a split second, and it's back, which I think it is pretty good. We won't take any of the pylons because that'll kind of wreck the run a little bit. But yeah, you might get maliced by a boss if, let's say, you don't have your Vengeance up. So that's something for you. For keys, definitely, I like the Echoing Fury. Maybe for bounties, to play it a little bit safer, you'd swap over to Dawn, maybe Raps of Clarity. But again, that's kind of a massive for you. But it works for keys. Obviously, solo keys, you'd be doing 5 tiers under this. You'd be absolutely crushing it. And you probably could stand an explosions then. Here we go, Rift Guardian time. Let's put this guy down. Should be easy peasy. Right, so that is the bounty and key version, which, as I say, I think is, obviously we have used the Paragon. I should have said we'll put some points into Vitality just to make us a little bit tougher. But 4-player bounty shouldn't be too much. The gear's not amazing. There's a few hundred augments on here from way back when. So if you think about it, if you're making this on the season, sure, you won't get to 2k Paragon immediately, but you'd have 125s here. You'd have extra 25 on most of the ones that I've got augged. 125 here, 125 on the boots as well. So you would have a fairly decently built character. I think almost pretty instantly in the season, within the first sort of, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 hours. You'll be able to get this down pretty easily, maybe even faster. It just depends on your RNG, really. Now, in terms of GR90s, you can use this exact same setup for GR90s, and it does work pretty well. Obviously, the higher you're going up, the more difficult it is, but you're going to need to take out the Boon of the Hoarder because it's not really going to do anything for you. So what I do if I want to play this type of setup for the GR90s, we take out Boon of the Hoarder, we pop in the Bane of the Trapped. We do then swap over to Cult of the Weak because I know we've definitely got a way of proccing it then with the cold the slow from the Bane of the Trapped. Focus and Restraint come in just for that little bit of a damage buff, and we do actually take the Dawn then because I'm much more interested in having 100% uptime on Vengeance doing GR90s. This was pretty quick. It's got decent AoE coverage. Again, in GRs you don't really break stuff, so again, toughness, Raps of Clarity comes in. But skills wise, everything the same. The only swap we've got is the passive. But yeah, still fairly fast for the GRs. If you want a bit more damage, if you want to go higher, or you want to go a little bit quicker than this, so you want to drop some of the laziness of taking a Yangs, you're probably on about doing a double wield setup for the hand crossbows. Definitely Dawn for the Vengeance. Fortress Ballista is nice because it'll give you a shield. It'll help you keep up your squirts a lot longer. But the other one is a Valor's Bequest, which gives you extra projectile piercings. Either is fine. The Valor's is probably more damage than the Fortress Ballista, but this is probably the safer option. This did work out a little faster, I think. I did a bunch of runs and tested it. There's not much in it, but that's probably it. So yeah, 124 on a GR90. Now, as I say, multi-shot might be faster because you do get really big screen wipe with that. So again, maybe that's something we'll test on the season. Again, decking everything out with 125s. But yeah, Gears of Dreadlands, if you build this, once you've got your Marauder pieces, absolutely amazing for keys, amazing for bounties, pretty solid for the GR speeds. Definitely faster than Marauder at 90. because you don't have to mess about putting your sentries down. But yeah, obviously an oldie but a goodie, I guess. Right, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be making Inner Monk, I think, Refresher next, and also Reiko T16. And if I can squeeze one more video in before the season start after that, I will do my best. Hope you enjoyed it. I've been Filthy Casual. Take it easy. Peace.